Sabine, could you please tell us how you're feeling right now, what you're seeing, and how you're feeling about this?
This is a very difficult question, I have to say. I mean, what I see is something that I saw coming for some time and that I was very afraid of, because I think what we see is a large scale, if not full scale, attack of Russia against Ukraine, basically aiming at regime change in Ukraine, at installing a political system in Kiev that Moscow can control. And of course, this is not only an attack against Ukraine, it's much larger. It's basically a Russian attempt to rewrite 30 years of European history and to impose a security order that, well, you're asking how I feel about it, that I really don't want. And I am extremely worried at this moment for the people in Ukraine, obviously for friends in Russia, because I know they don't want this, but also for ourselves, for our societies here. I think this is a very dangerous situation.
You just came from Moscow, and I'm interested in hearing what you came away from Moscow with. I get the sense that you thought that this was coming, but tell us what you found out and learned while you were there.
So, I mean, you know, since the Russian Foreign Ministry published these draft treaties in December, I thought this was an option. I thought an unintended escalation along the line of contact in Ukraine would then pull Russia and Ukraine into a war would perhaps be more likely. But I always thought it was an option. And last week, so I spent last week in Moscow talking to people I've known for a long time, you know, colleagues, journalists, other people. And I mean, my first impression was on Monday, Tuesday, that they were actually rather relieved, because they also thought that, you know, the conversations between Putin and his Foreign Minister Lavrov and the defense minister about diplomatic efforts, etc., that this indicated some kind of de-escalation. But then this changed, I think, towards the end of the week. And by Friday, when the de facto authorities in the territories in the Donbass announced mass evacuation, I think we all understood where this was going. And this was the development of last week, basically.
Let me ask you this question. You saw that address with Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago, where he did this hour-long expose, I suppose, on the history of Ukraine and Russia. And it was hard to miss the fact that he was angry. Do you believe that that was staged, or was that real?
You mean his anger?
Yes.
I don't think it's staged. I think he really believes in that. I think he really believes in this very, very distorted reading of, you know, European history of the past 30 years in Europe, of the history of Russian-Ukrainian relations. I think he really does believe that Ukraine is not an independent country. I think he really does believe that Ukraine is to 100% manipulated and, I don't know, ruled by the United States and also by, you know, by the West. I think he believes that. And that makes, I mean, you know, over the past years, I think it wasn't, I mean, I don't remember this very emotional dimension in Putin's policy in 2014-15. I didn't perceive him so emotional at the time, but I think this changed over the past few years. I don't know if this has to do with his age or with his increasing isolation. I mean, I cannot answer those questions, you know, because no one knows really. But I think Ukraine has become an extremely emotional issue for him. And of course, this makes his policy much more dangerous. And we see it as we speak, you know.
Yeah, that's my last question. Does this make him more dangerous? What you're seeing, whatever the cause or the drivers are, does this make him more dangerous? And also, you know, this is the first war in Europe in almost 80 years. And a lot of people don't remember or never knew about the horrors that took place during the Second World War there. And could you give us give us a reality check here?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think I have to contradict, because I mean, this is not the first war since the Second World War. We had wars in the 1990s, in the 2000s. You know,
Yes,
Russia was
but I mean of this scale,
of this scale, yes,
that pretends to do the kind of thing that this one could do. This could suck in most of, if not all of Europe and other countries. That's what I mean.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. And you know, I tend to think that Article 5, NATO Article 5 holds, and I think the past weeks have shown that there is a lot of political will to stand together in the transatlantic relationship within the EU, within NATO. And I think this is extremely important. And I think this is one of our foremost tasks at the moment, to really make our position firm and stand together and support Ukraine. And it's true. I mean, I think the situation with Russia is spiraling out of control. I think this is extremely dangerous because it has this emotional dimension, also because Russia is a very brutal autocratic system. That has fewer and fewer sources of legitimacy also internally. I mean, Putin does not care. He doesn't care about the fate of Ukrainian society. He does not care about the fate of the people in his own country. He doesn't care about it. And this is very dangerous. So yes, I think it is very dangerous.